Good morning and welcome to Begin in the Word. Our text today comes from Proverbs chapter 31, verse 1 through 9. The words of King Lemuel, an oracle that his mother taught him. What are you doing, my son? What are you doing, son of my womb? What are you doing, son of my vows? Do not give your strength to women, your ways to those who destroy kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, or for rulers to take strong drink, lest they drink and forget what has been decreed and pervert the rights of all of the afflicted. Give strong drink to the one who is perishing, the wine to those in bitter distress. Let them drink and forget their poverty and remember their misery no more. Open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of all who are destitute. Open your mouth, judge righteously, defend the rights of the poor and needy. We've been working through Proverbs chapter 31, and we're working through the first section of this chapter, verse 1 through 9. This is part 2 of that study. This is a section of text written by King Lemuel, and in this part, he's reflecting on the teachings that his mother gave him. We have continued to observe that the book of Proverbs is a way of gaining insight and wisdom, of connecting the dots, if you will, to the commandments that are given in the Old Covenant. This teaching in verses 1 through 9 of Proverbs chapter 31 point back to the teaching of the Ten Commandments, where Moses recorded the words of God that said, "Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land, and that the Lord your God is giving you." And so this proverb today helps us understand one concept of this, and that is how to honor the teachings of your mother. We noted yesterday that this is probably better translated that the sayings of Lemuel, king of Massa, and this is because of some of the idioms and language, specific language items that are used in the text, and also it's not really written in the form of an oracle. It's generally believed by commentators that this is a Jewish woman, maybe taken in captivity, that married a man that was a city-state king of the area of Massa, and that her son came to be king, and these are the recorded teachings that she gave him. We observed yesterday that she asserts her right, her moral authority to give him these teachings, because first she says, we're family. You are my son. Secondly, son of my womb, which indicates a firstborn son. And then finally she said, you are the son of my vows. In other words, she had made a promise to God, made a vow to God on behalf of receiving this son. And therefore she believes she has the moral authority to give him this advice. And indeed, any godly woman that raises a son has this authority, has this calling to teach her son the things he needs to know, to say to him, what are you doing? The first teaching we observed yesterday had to do with giving your strength to women. And we observed that it looks like she is hearkening back to Solomon, who loved many foreign women, and those women turned his heart from God. And she is teaching her son not to do that, not to give his strength or his ways to these women that would destroy him. And of course, inferred in that is rather that he would find a woman that would hold him up, lift him up, and cause him to be a better king. Now to the teaching specific for today, the part of the text that we will look at today. This text says, "It is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, or for rulers to take strong drink, lest they drink and forget what has been decreed, and pervert the rights of all of the afflicted. Give strong drink to the one who is perishing, and wine to those in bitter distress. Let them drink and forget their poverty, and remember their misery no more." It has been my displeasure to hear people turn to this text and use it as a justification for drinking, and it is nothing further from the truth. This is not a justification for drinking. This is rather a contrast of the condition of those who choose not to drink strong drink and those who do drink strong drink. And the best way to see that is with a graph. If you graph this out for the two parties involved, if you say on the one hand those that avoid strong drink, which is what she is encouraging her son to be, one that avoids strong drink, versus those that do engage in strong drink. And consider the contrast between the two, you begin to see what she's saying. She says it's not for kings to do this. From that, we can infer and draw that successful leaders do not drink strong drink. And this is whether or not they are a king, a father in a family, a boss over a country, a company, or any other kind of strong leader. Good, successful leaders avoid strong drink. Leaders that are failures, leaders that are not successful at what they do, they engage in strong drink. If a person engages in strong drink, they will be a failed leader to the strong drink that causes them to be inebriated. The second thing she says is that this strong drink causes you to forget, to pervert. In other words, it affects your thinking. What she's saying is those that avoid strong drink, and she is encouraging her son to avoid strong drink, those that avoid strong drink will have a sharp mind. Those who engage in strong drink will have a dull mind. They will not be able to think clearly. Their thinking will be dulled because of the liquor that they imbibe. As we begin to think of these contrasts, ask yourself, do you want to be successful? Or do you want to be a failure? Do you want to be a person with a sharp and keen mind? Or do you want to be a person that is, quite frankly, a dummy? Well, let's look at the next one. A person that avoids strong drink is a friend of the afflicted. They are able to look at the needs of the people around them, and you see what she says here, that the person that drinks forgets the laws and forgets the things that have been decreed, she says right here, and therefore they pervert the rights of the afflicted. So we see from that the contrast to that, a person that avoids strong drink can be a friend of the afflicted. They can be a person who helps those that are down and out. They can be a friend to the people around them. On the other hand, a person that engages in strong drink is an enemy of the people. Just ask a mother who has lost a child in a car wreck due to the felonious murder caused by a drunk driver. Just ask the children of a broken home where the father fell to the bottle. A person who drinks is an enemy of the people. Do you want to be a friend to the people around you, or do you want to be their enemy? She also says that the drink is for those who are perishing, those who are on their deathbed, so to speak. And this infers that, on the other hand, or the opposite of that, and that is should be understood in Hebrew poetry, that there are contrasts laid before us, that vigorous life, not just life expectancy in terms of years, but life expectancy in terms of the quality and quantity of life. A full life is enjoyed by those who avoid strong drink. Those who engage in strong drink, they are drinking their death. With every drink they take, they are inviting death into their life. And how many times have we stood over the grave of a loved one because of liver failure or other types of medical disease brought on by alcohol, gone too soon? Is that what you want to be? Is that a justification for drinking? And then finally, a general observation that the person that avoids strong drink has joy in their life, as opposed to the person that engages in strong drink has bitter distress. Oh, there may be a moment that they escape that while they're drinking, but at some point they will come to the condition we see in these photographs. That high will be followed up by an incredible low, by an incredible loss. Really? Do you want to turn to this text and say, I think I'll engage in strong drink? Do you want to be a failure, a person that is dull of mind, a person that is an enemy to the people around them, a person that is inviting death into their life, a person who is inviting bitter distress into their emotional condition? I think not. The next thing she teaches him, the next thing that she asks the question, what are you doing? She says, open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of all who are destitute. Open your mouth, judge righteously, defend the rights of the poor and needy. There's really two kinds of things she's describing. She describes, first of all, what you do. What are the actions that you take? And there are three of them. And then she says, for whom do you take those actions? And we'll look at this text in that respect. First, what are the things that she says you must do? You must open your mouth, judge righteously, and defend the rights. And the best way to think through this would be to think of the parable of the Good Samaritan. The Good Samaritan opened his mouth in that he saw the need. He saw the man that had been beaten, left by the roadside. He took up that man, took him to the inn, and opened his mouth to the innkeeper and said, I will take care of this man. He judged righteously. He saw there was a need. He determined that the need was a need that was right to be filled, and he filled that need. And he defended the rights of this man in that he used his own resources. He gave his money to the innkeeper and said, I will pay more when I return. Now, there are multiple ways that these things can be carried out. Opening your mouth for the folks that are mentioned here, for these different categories of folks. Opening your mouth. Speak up for those that cannot speak for themselves. Judge righteously. Make good, sound decisions regarding the folks that are mentioned, the types of people that are mentioned here. And then take the appropriate actions defending the rights of those. So who is it? For whom do we, or is this mother telling her son to take these actions? Well, first, the mute. And that would be for those who have no voice, those who are not able to speak for themselves. That's a pretty broad category. We can think of folks that might have some sort of challenge in their life, a physical challenge or a mental challenge or some other condition maybe that they were born with that puts them in a situation where they have no voice for themselves. This is the person that godly people must stand up for, must open our mouths for, must judge righteously for, must defend their rights. People that are destitute, people that have no path. That was the case of this Good Samaritan. He had been beaten to a point that he had no recourse of himself. He lay here on the side of the road nearly dead. He had no path, no way to help himself. He was a perfect candidate to help. When we come across people who are unable to help themselves for whatever reason, maybe it's their own self-destructive behaviors. Maybe it's life has dealt them a blow they just can't get past. Whatever the case, they have come to a place where now they are not able to help themselves. It is time to be this person, to judge righteously and say, I will step up, I will help. This is the advice of a mother. Also, another descriptor that is given for the poor and needy, those who have no means. In other words, they may have a path ahead of them, but they have no means to take hold of that path. And there are several circumstances that might describe this. This would be the case of the Good Samaritan. He had no ability to correct his situation. He was poor and needy in that respect. And so therefore he was a candidate for the Good Samaritan to help him. And we can think of a number of ways to apply this. What we need to understand is that this is the sound teaching of a mother. And a successful son will heed that teaching. And those teachings include, as we conclude our study on these first 9 verses, that mother's influence should be and can be very, very powerful. That she has earned the right to give you that advice. And that advice includes things like, for example, sensuality will destroy your strength. Strong drink is destructive and it will take your life. And you should be a person that defends the defenseless. Hope you've enjoyed our study today on Begin in the Word, and I hope as you have begun today in the Word of God, you will live out today in the Word of God.